Y'all ready for this?
Welcome to the DeVerna podcast, where we talk about business, life, and how to win at both.
Well, I'm sitting here with, with Roger Kuns, and Roger owns Northcoast Security, and I've known him for quite a while, but for me to do justice on the introduction, I think a couple things I know about him. He's from the Mecca of Fremont, Ohio, and was a military guy. And why don't you give us a little background on who you are, Roger?
All right. So I'm from Fremont, Ohio, went to Fremont St. Joe, graduated in 99. And from there, I went to the University of Toledo. I got my undergrad in sales and marketing. And when I was a junior in college is when 9/11 happened, which kind of took a dramatic. I was actually on my way to becoming a financial advisor, believe it or not.
Awesome.
But two failed attempts at the Series 6. And I decided to choose a different path. And I literally took those tests the summer of 2001 and found myself after a night of partying on the internet about September probably 15th or so, trying to look into the Marine Corps. And I saw that I could, after completing a bachelor's degree, that I could be a leader of Marines. And that blew me away. And I went and met with the officer recruiter. He told me that 40% of the Fortune 500 CEOs were prior military officers. Well, that was enough I needed to hear because that was the kind of aspirations that I had. So I went to officer candidate school in between my junior and senior year of college. And, it was 2002 rolling into 2003. And the economy was okay, but not great. So I was one of my few college graduate friends that had a job lined up on my way out of school. So I was commissioned as second lieutenant, and then I went on to become an aviation maintenance officer for F-18 aircraft. And at 24, 25 years old, I was in charge of a squadron of F-18 aircraft and managing 250 Marines and deploying all over the world in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom, and saw, over 12 different countries, and operated out of the sands of Iraq and off the aircraft carriers, and had a blast. And after my first 4 years, I was looking to transition out, and then somebody said, "Hey, would you like to become a recruiter?" And with the sales and marketing background, I'm like, well, that might be a good way for me to kind of civilianize myself again. And it ended up working out nice. I went on to become the Atlanta officer selection officer. So I spent 3 years going around to all the colleges in Georgia, recruiting kids to do something that I loved. And when I checked into Atlanta, it was the number 72 of 72 officer selection offices, and when I left, it was number 2 of 72. So
wow,
we made quite a jump in the 3 years, but it really was a market that was just untapped. So all I really had to do is just put a little effort forth, and we made amazing headway. So at the end of that three successful years, I got married over those 3 years, and my wife is actually, Keisha, is from Fremont, and we hooked up down south where she was living in Charlotte. I was living in Atlanta. We went back and forth for 3 years on the weekends, traveling to see one another, got engaged. And, she was finishing up her master's degree at UNC Charlotte. And we're like, well, what do we want to do with our lives? Where do we want to go? We got the world at our fingertips. And we decided to move back to Mecca, Fremont, Ohio,
awesome.
To raise our family. So we really were spending all of our time vacationing back to Fremont. So we're like, paradise isn't paradise when you work there necessarily. So let's go back, raise our family back where we know and love, and we'll go see the rest of the world on our vacation. So she went on to become a school counselor at Woodmore, and I needed a job, so I bought one. So I bought a sleepy little lock shop in Fremont, Ohio. And as a matter of fact, Tuesday was my 10-year anniversary. So Cinco de Mayo, it's an easy one to remember.
Yeah.
And we took a sleepy little lock shop that had two guys in it to now we have 10 or 11 employees, and we're our customer base is anywhere from a small little mom and pop shop to a residential customer to Marathon Pipeline is our biggest customer, where we've deployed cameras all over the United States along the pipeline, and then we're picking up more and more bigger customers like that. So, and May 7th, 2020, that's where we're at.
That is awesome. That's quite a story. Like that's good stuff. I know a bit about you, but I think you just filled in some pretty good blanks for me. So that's pretty amazing. That's awesome. So when you bought that originally, you really didn't do the security thing. It was more based on kind of lock and key type stuff.
So, yes, for the most part. So when I purchased it, their core business was the lock business. But I saw the potential. I mean, and he had about 70 alarm accounts. So I was able to use the cash flow from those alarm accounts to make sure that I could, carry the loan and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. But we've gone from 70 alarm accounts to well over 900 now. We've gone from like picking them up onesies and twosies at a time to now we're in with home builders and we're picking up 100 at a time. So as they're building new developments. So we've grown every year, but I've been growing kind of slow and steady. And sometimes it accelerates a little faster, but I've never tried to bite off more than I can chew. And I always want to make sure that I can take care of the customers that, that hire us to come in and take care of them.
Mm-hmm. So before we move on to the next subject, just a little bit, is your primary business more on the personal side now, or is it more developing more into the corporate America, I guess?
So I'd say it's about 50-50, which I don't mind. So we have more alarm accounts on the residential side, and in 2017 or 18, they all run together. Now, I believe it was summer 2017, we purchased Home Guard Security, which is in the Toledo market, because we had really saturated Sandusky, Seneca, and Ottawa counties, and I wanted to move more into the Toledo market. So that opportunity came along. So we purchased Home Guard Security, and that really helped us get a bigger footprint, and it's led to more business. I'll say that the higher revenue comes from our corporate customers, but the steady cash flow comes from a lot of the residential alarm systems that we service as well. So it's good, or it works out great for us, because in a good or bad economy, we can take advantage of whatever sector of the population is, has money to spend at that point in time, or really needs our services. So if in 2010, when I bought this business, it wasn't a great economy. So more of the government sectors had some money to spend. So we took care of them. And then as the economies continued to grow, especially over the last 3 years, I mean, it's been our corporate partners that have really been upgrading their alarms and cameras and access control. And I'll really say access control is one of the items that really is becoming popular, especially in Northwest Ohio now, to where people don't want to hand out keys to 100 of their employees or staff. They give them a card, and then you can turn it on and off, or you can limit what time they can come in and out of your building. And that's really becoming a popular item. And especially in the last 2 months, it's really obviously taken off, because everybody's doing everything they can to control who comes in and out of their campuses or buildings.
Yeah. So obviously we're having this conversation right now remotely because we can't be together. And that is because of the virus and all the kind of craziness that comes along with it. But let's talk about how that in itself has affected business. And then I know for a fact that you've pivoted a little bit into something that probably, I guess 2 or 3 months ago, nobody was really talking about, at least one of the products that you were, or that maybe they weren't talking about it for the same use that they're talking about it for now. So I guess give us the backdrop on some of that.
So, just like everybody else, around March 15th, we were just kicking butt, having the best quarter ever. And then all of a sudden, the phone stopped ringing. And we had enough of a pipeline, and we had customers that were comfortable with us coming in the building that kept us busy about another 2 or 3 weeks. And in that 2 or 3 weeks, you see we had stuff planned out through the summer, but then all of a sudden, like, customers weren't comfortable with us coming in their facilities. And quite frankly, my guys weren't as comfortable either with going out into the public. I mean, just there was a lot of uncertainty out there, that's for sure. Not that it's too much better today, but I think everyone's just getting more comfortable or restless, one of the two, and we're willing to get out there and get after it some more. But so just like everybody else, went through the full gamut of emotions of being scared to, quite frankly, it transitioned to becoming pissed. And then, I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to allow this to destroy my business. And so I'm like, you know what, I'm going to find a product that can help people get back to business so I can get back to protecting customers and their assets. And so I found so the thermal cameras became the hot commodity, and I was looking into all kinds of them. And there's a lot of them that you have to set up on a tripod, and you have to have somebody there that is always watching it. And it was a really expensive solution. I mean, it's somewhere between $13,000-$20,000 for this. I'm like, well, geez. I'm like, I don't see myself being able to easily sell those, very many of them, throughout Northwest Ohio. So I'm like, I need to find another product. So I kept searching. I sat in on a webinar for a product called Speedface Plus by ZK Teco USA. And I was sitting on the same conference call with my wholesaler, and we're watching this thing work. And I was texting back and forth. I'm like, hey, can you send me 2? And he's like, yeah. And then later in the day, I asked for 8 more, and they couldn't get their hands on them anymore. So it was that quick. Well, fortunately, I got my hands on 2 of them the following Monday morning. I was so excited that I ran in the back of my shop, and I put some 2x4s together and got this thing deployed. And then I just started going out on a road show and demoing it to everybody. And it just worked out where, since I was kind of the first one to market with this item, I've been able to, I've kind of in the supply chain solidified myself as, being able to provide for, high volume of sales. And it's really worked out. And this product works slick. I mean, you can have it to where it detects your temperature. You can have it to where it detects whether or not you have a mask on or not. You can use it as a standalone device, or you can have it to where it ties in with your access control, or locking and unlocking a door. So there's an awful lot of uses for it, and it's been very popular. We've deployed them in hospitals, schools, and a lot of manufacturing facilities.
So I want to capture the essence of what this thing does. It on the front end, you could, for now, when everybody has to wear a mask, you could potentially say, like, this door behind me is not getting unlocked unless this person is the appropriate person, and they have a mask on, and their temperature is good. Is
Correct.
that correct? Wow.
That is correct. And but you can also back it up. So, like, let's say you just are allowing visitors into your building. You don't have to have them necessarily read into there, but you can have it to where their temperature needs to be under a certain threshold, and they have to have a mask on. Or, I see this as becoming a very popular product, because now people are more aware of the fact that, okay, a high temperature is a very good indicator that this person is not healthy. So I can see in the future in most corporations' front offices, them having this device up there to make sure that any, A, their employees, or B, their visitors to their campus, are healthy, or at least don't have the temperature. So
right, yeah, that's pretty awesome. And so you would be able to kind of add these, like, it's one tool, but you'd be able to add these different levels of it, or at the point that we get to where we don't need masks, which I'm sure sometime, hopefully sooner rather than later, we have a vaccine, and we have some good treatments and things like that en route already. So it'd be really nice if we didn't have to wear masks. So you can just say, hey, we can remove that off the system.
It's an easy setting to go in there and add or remove. So yeah, no, that's the wonderful thing, is the scalability of it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So what you don't have to do is have people with those little guns trying to fire off at everybody's foreheads and dealing with that stuff.
That's been the popular thing. Like Terre Community College here in Fremont is going to deploy 3 of these throughout their campus to start off with. And that's the exact reason why, is they want to protect their staff from, having to get close and take everyone's temperature. So it really provides, it really checks a lot of boxes as far as a need right now in our community.
Yeah. Well, my partner and I had a meeting on Monday to talk about our office officially opens back up to the public, I guess you'd say, on Monday. We're essential, so we've on some level been open, but not allowing only some mandatory essential people have been able to come in the building at all. And so we're starting to add the elements of decision making and all this stuff. And one of the things that I was thinking about is the very difficult conversation. If I'm the one holding this thermometer, and I have to zap this thing and I shoot Roger's head, and Roger's a client of mine, and it says 100.5, which is above, 100. I have to say, sorry, Roger, get the hell out of here,
Right.
And it seems like it'd be much more cut and dry if a computer just does it, and then we say, oh, sorry, we'll have to reschedule our meeting. Like, I know that might just be a little bit of the easy way out, but just having somebody that's not something that is a process or a system in place, so you take all the human elements, or as many of the human elements, out as you possibly can. That just seems like a great tool for that.
And we've been using it in my lock shop. So if we have a customer that comes in and they want to get some locks worked on, or have some keys made and things of that nature, or they're just coming in to pay their alarm bill or something like that. And we haven't opened up to the public either. We're by appointment only, but there's certainly been some people in the building, and we take their temperature. And I think it's one of those things, once you set that precedence, like, hey, or you let them know on the phone before the appointment, hey, just to let you know, we do have a temperature taking device we're going to be utilizing. They're at least going to be aware of, hey, if I'm not feeling good, I shouldn't even go. So It becomes a deterrent for everybody. And I donated 2 of these to my kids' school, so that way in the fall, and I've let the principals know, hey, here's a tool you can utilize for planning. How are you going to get the kids in the building at the beginning of the day? Instead of having to take their temperature in a way where there's a teacher standing right there, like you said, firing one of these little thermometer guns at their head, they can each walk up to it. They'll take their temperature, and then they move on into the building, and it's really done in 2 seconds. So
how long does
I think it's going to be a quick way. I'm sorry?
How long does that take? Like if we're in a line,
if you're wearing a mask, if you're wearing a mask, somewhere between 2 and 4 seconds. And if you're not wearing a mask, it takes about 2 seconds.
That's amazing.
It really is a nice product.
That's fantastic. That is just awesome. So I love these stories. I mean, if you're watching the news at all, it's depressing, and you realize that they're just trying to sell newspapers, so to speak. And the bad news sells. It's been like that since the 1950s, at least, that people pay more attention when the news is bad. So it's really neat to hear some business owners that are taking the initiative to go out and find new products and find answers to problems that we have, because this is going to be a real problem. I mean, going through, I heard whether it's, Cedar Point or Disney or, a high school or a hospital or all these things to having, obviously the body temperature isn't the only thing we can count on, but it's definitely a big thing. It's a big piece of the pie. So I think that's just a fantastic tool, and more people need to know about this. I mean, are you at capacity? Are you selling out of these as fast as you get them? Are you back?
Yeah, there's quite a backlog right now. I've been working with my wholesaler, and I mean, I actually email with the CEO of ZK Tech almost on a daily basis, just letting them know, hey, I've sold more of this product. please do your best to keep fulfilling our orders. And, I think that, with today being May 7th, I think that in June, I think that the supply chain will start to catch up a little bit better. Kind of like hand sanitizer, there wasn't any out there a month ago, and now you can buy them in, 5-gallon drums. I mean, I never thought I'd buy a 5-gallon drum of hand sanitizer, but
yeah,
now I do that.
that's what we do now. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's extremely interesting. What could you give us a ballpark price point on this, or is there one product, or are there different levels to it, or how does that work?
So there's a number of different products that they offer. I don't necessarily want to give a price point right now, just based on the fact that I'm hoping that it starts to trickle down. But I mean, it's less than $4,000 for one of these things, but it's not like it's not like these other products that are, like I said, are 13 to 20.
And that's great.
That's
an amazing.
It has an awful lot of uses.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's very inexpensive considering what it does.
And it's really just a tool to help people get back to work. And that was my goal when I started looking for products, is what can I do? Because ultimately everything that I sell or service that I provide is I want to make sure I can look at myself in the mirror every morning or every evening before I go to bed and know that I did the right thing for the customer. So, and this checks all those boxes for me.
That's fantastic. That's just awesome. Is there anything else going on in your business that we should know about, or is there anything that you would maybe share with people, and the way that, I mean, it sounds like your attitude is pretty fantastic, and I don't think there's enough of that floating around right now. So maybe you could speak to that a little bit too.
So yeah, like I said, I went through all the gamuts of emotion, but just being a leader in the community, I want to make sure that if I go out with a low demeanor, it's going to rub off, and it'll rub off on all my staff members as well. But if you show up with a smile on your face, just knowing that you'll tackle the day, whatever gets thrown at you. And I really think I have the Marine Corps to thank for all of that. Cause I mean, you get put in some pretty shitty situations, but you have your brothers in arms to your right and your left, and you just look at each other and you got kind of smile and say, well, that sucked, but we got through it. And I think that's the way we're going to look at the next, at least the last 2 months, and, hopefully not too long. Hopefully it's not 18 months that we have to deal with this, but in some way, shape, or form, it's going to be a while that we do have to deal with it. But hopefully, in the future, we get to look at each other over a beer and laugh and say, well, that sucked, but we made it through it, and do everything we can to, and Dan, you and I are going to probably do just fine through all this, because we're willing to, like you said, pivot and do whatever it takes to keep, the lights on and food on the table for our families. But there's a lot of people that just aren't as capable, and those are the ones that we need to really help.
Yeah. I think it's time for us to all kind of rally around. We're very thankful. I mean, I'm super blessed beyond words. And I think about my business that can continue to, it's definitely been affected. And obviously with the stock market woes, it's a topic, and can be stressful at times, but I haven't had anybody say, hey, you have to stop doing business. And so we've pivoted. We're doing, actually our referrals, I think, are up, and it's kind of just a blessing to all the people that we work with. And we're getting things done and accomplished through, whether it's through Zoom meetings, phone calls, DocuSign, all the different ways to be able to do things, which are super terrific. But I think about all the businesses that I know about that don't have that flexibility, that don't have the ability to even be open, and I also think about many of them, I had a quick conversation with a friend of mine who was complaining because his gym membership he paid his $100 for that month or whatever. And I said, well, you really have to be careful, because he's still paying rent, I'm guessing, and he's still got a light bill and a gas bill. And if you want that gym to be open when we get done with all this, you might just let that thing go, because oftentimes people think of our business owners as being like wealthy or risk wealthy, and so they're not at risk. But the truth is that nobody saw anything like this coming. So the business owners are all hands on deck, whether you own a restaurant, you're the only one working or working, way longer than you used to, or if you're a clothing person who's trying to take a pivot from in-house to selling things online and everybody else. And so I think as Ohio starts to get back to work, we're all going to be paying a lot more attention to washing our hands, wearing masks, body temperature, all that stuff. And I love the place that you fit in there just perfectly, and at a price point that's extremely reasonable. And that's a tool that I think is just going to become part of the new normal. I mean, that's just going to be, if I can use something like that, maybe I know everybody in my building all the time, and I'm in a very protected building, right? But maybe we just can add something like that and add another layer of protection for not just for our health, but also for our identity, So that's a very interesting, that's a pretty cool pivot there. That's on the highlight reel for sure. So,
well, no, I see it as being something that, to get bars and restaurants back open, they're going to have to take people's temperatures before they come back in and things of that nature. So, I just see an awful lot of need out there for it. Mm-hmm. And, hoping that we can be, part of the solution instead of, wanking about the problem. So,
right. Awesome. Well, hey man, I know you're a busy guy and got to get back to work, but I appreciate your time. And hopefully, like you said, we can be doing this, having a beer in person sometime soon and not just over the Zoom phone calls.
Real quick, how's your son doing?
He's great.
In Guam. And
he's in Guam. He tested positive for the coronavirus, but he's a 23-year-old stud. So he is playing basketball and he's hanging out with other people that are contaminated, if you will, but he seems to like that a lot better than being isolated in a hotel room by himself. He's playing basketball, lifting weights a little bit, talking to people, and able to order food. Like from, I guess in Guam, they have like Grubhub, just like we have here. So he's getting Pizza Hut delivered and Popeye's chicken and stuff like that. So he's doing great. I guess he's just one of those asymptomatic people that he never really got sick at all. He never had a temperature because they were taking his temperature at least twice a day for the last month. And he never had a temperature that reached over 100 degrees. So it's all good. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's all good. So, well, thanks again, sir. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk again sometime very soon, hopefully in person.
All right, Dan. Thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy. Bye-bye.
DeVerna offers products and services using the following business names: Creative Financial Partners, Insurance and Financial Services, Emeritus Investment Company, LLC, AIC, member FINRA, SIPC, Security Investments, Emeritus Advisory Services, AAS Investment Advisory Services, AIC and AAS are not affiliated with Creative Financial Partners. Products and services are limited to residents of states where the representative is registered. This is not an offer of securities in any jurisdiction, nor is it specifically directed to a resident of any jurisdiction. As with any security request and prospectus from a representative, read it carefully before you invest or send money. A representative will contact you to provide requested information. Representatives of AIC and AAS do not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney regarding the situation.
Whew. Thanks for watching.